Calling this variant Grimlock the strongest would be an understatement. He is absolutely monstrous. Takara Tommy, the industry, or one of the few franchises that enhances the Transformers as a whole, or should we always call it Japanese Generation 1? The most broken version of it is absolutely no joke. You might say legendary. Why is that? Well, I'm glad you asked. You see, Volcanicus Grimlock, the one I usually refer to him as, is by far one of the strongest, if not the strongest, second strongest, I should say, Transformer in the verse. Second only to the arisen version of Optimus Prime. I know, absolutely ridiculous. But let's talk about this origin of this one. You see, Grimlock in this continuity gained the power of Amalgamous Energy and the Combiner Core of Grimestone after Predaking had killed him. And so, using this, he would actually go on to not only form Volcanicus, but go on to one-shot Predaking, a character that has actually been able to overwhelm the likes of Bruticus and other Decepticons or in Autobot combiners as well. However, what is Amalgamous Energy? Well, I'm glad you asked. It actually gives a user the power to become a herald of Unicron or Gaia. Gaia being the sister of Primus and Unicron. And Amalgamous Energy is essentially her energy. So having the power to rival that of Primus and Unicron already puts it in a step ahead. Keep in mind, the very energies of Unicron have allowed him to crumble the very fabric of space-time itself with the mere shock waves of it flickering. You see, this energy, the energy of Earth itself, or the energy of Gaia, is so powerful that it allows users to basically compete with that of Matrix bearers. You see, this type of energy can only be wielded by those who fully commit themselves to it, or to those who are powerful enough to wield it as well. Grimlock and his Dinobots respectively have wielded this power. However, there was one rule of a combiner. You have to follow one person and give them control. Grimlock, being the leader of his team and having the full trust and loyalty of his team, fully commands Volcanicus. And he is capable of using it to his fullest totality. So, keep in mind as well, the characters we're going to talk about here that he scales above are all seen as multiversal singularities, beings that exist in one continuity, or basically exist across the multiverse as a single constant. So Grimlock would scale relatively above these characters. Now keep in mind, in Japanese G1, it's an amalgamation continuity, and it allows you to actually use a composited form of G1 scaling. So Grimlock himself, right, after rallying his Dinobots at the apparent close death of Carly, took on all of Cybertron itself. Combiners, Omega Supreme, Optimus, Megatron, Soundwave, and a prepared Shockwave. You see, the Dinobots themselves were casually whooping out the Decepticons and Autobots alike, beating the aerial bots, beating the Seekers, while even the likes of Snarl was able to beat Megatron. However, Grimlock himself ragdolled Shockwave and Soundwave, mind you, and then went toe-to-toe with Optimus. However, something stopped him. Something very important. His safety protocol. Grimlock was given a safety measure because, in Optimus's own words, the Autobots feared his power. Keep in mind, we can easily use G1 continuities for this kind of scaling. And if you guys watch my How Strong is Marvel Optimus video and stuff like that, you would obviously understand. Optimus has faced down entities that could threaten the Matrix itself. And then if you use other continuities to kind of amalgamate it, you have Thunderwing, Devoid, Regenesis Shockwave, and so on and so forth, Hytherian and other entities, right? And yet Optimus still feared Grimlock's power, feared his potential even. And yet Grimlock was still inches close to taking his head off. Meaning if it wasn't for that safety protocol, Optimus would have been beheaded. Maybe. Maybe would have been beheaded. Grimlock still, kind of cares for him, still has those morals and everything. But keep in mind, Grimlock and the Dinobots basically soloed all of Cybertron. Soloed every single Autobot and Decepticon. However, Volcanicus Grimlock wasn't done there. You see, he also was able to help Abominus and was able to press the likes of Megatron Omega in his perfect form. Now, how powerful is Megatron Omega, and why is damaging him actually a pretty big feat, right? Well, previously he fought a combiner known as King Neptune. King Neptune is basically the more space pirate version of King Poseidon, and he actually wielded several matrices. I think the total of them was 5 or 6, but again, he actually wielded a good chunk and was actually able to attack Megatron on every form of the spectrum. Time, space, reality, matter, everything. Every form that the Matrix had. And yet, Megatron not only was able to survive being slashed in half by him, he regenerated and evolved into it. And this was his final state. There was no going above this. And yet, here Grimlock is, deflecting his energy attacks and then slashing him, harming him still. Absolutely ridiculous. Considering the fact that all matrices scale to each other via their raw power instead of their hexes, because each matrix is different, these matrices would still scale to some of the stronger feats, such as being able to tear holes in space and time. And keep in mind, every Transformers universe is on an infinite dimensional layer, to the point where you're likely bending and tearing into infinite possibilities itself. And keep in mind, the Matrix also works on a narrative level, being able to harm an avatar of Unicron that was capable of eating and devouring his own narrative. Yet, Megatron Omega was able to tank several of these. 5 in total, but again, still had multiple attacking him. And then took an attack with their combined power and was simply able to regenerate from it. I feel like that's a little bit of an understatement for how powerful Volcanicus Grimlock is, right? Being able to casually defeat someone on that kind of caliber, right? But here's the fun thing. Did you know he also went toe to toe and was actually able to beat an evil version of Primus that was, controlled by Primacron himself, because again, he's using a lifeless husk, mind you. But keep in mind, Volcanicus Grimlock was not only able to take attacks from this Primus that was trying to kill him, mind you, but he was also able to split his head and cause him to revert back into his Cybertronians, or to his, planet-like state, thus killing him. I know, it's absolutely ridiculous. He fought his literal creator, the very concept of order. Yes, he was controlled because this was a lifeless body, but again, it was still given his power via other matrices, which are from Primus himself, right? And keep in mind, this Primus was able to kill another version of him in his true form, while he was powered by the gold power. The gold power is a cosmic form of, power that actually gives the user access to the entirety of the Transformers Omniverse and allows the user to summon multiple versions of himself that actually equal each other, including the likes of Alternity. So keep in mind, a version of TFA Megatron, one of the weakest Megatrons, mind you, is capable of rivaling Alternity, or has a version of him that rivals his Alternity state. I know, absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? And keep in mind as well that Grimlock took a far more lethal blast that killed the true form of another version of his creator. Keep in mind again, Primus is a multiversal singularity, meaning all of his forms are consistent. Just that this one version was corrupted and was just controlled and corrupted in order to use his powers in more deadly and lethal ways. Primus being able to create an entirety of the Transformers omniverse, a verse that operates on quantum mechanics, diving into infinite dimensional layers. A single multiverse is infinite and constantly expanding because of one thought process from a Cybertronian. Different divergent timelines always happening, to the point where even other multiverses are created as polar opposites of the rest. We have a shattered glass multiverse, and we know that's a polar opposite of every verse imaginable. Every verse has a different story from the mainline, from the original, from the G1. And yet they are all infinitely layered with higher dimensions that transcend the multiverse. But alternities sit above that. They are from a much higher dimension, and they're capable of affecting it, with Megatron being able to stop the entire flow of time itself. The very concept of time cut from that very multiverse. Starscream being able to eat the very concept, and Skywarp being able to tear holes through the fabric of it. And yet, Volcanicus Grimlock scales above them. Gold scales above the gold power of even when his own creator, or one of his avatars, if you will, is amped up by it. Keep in mind, there is still more I can get into here, but I want to save it for the IDW video. The whole Dungeons and Dragons or Magic the Gathering scaling, the, all-powerful elder gods and stuff like that. But keep in mind that Takara, or Volcanicus Grimlock, is able to one-shot them. He would also have faster than light to immeasurable speeds, as with the other Dinobots as well as any character that was capable of keeping up with him. But keep in mind, he beat Megatron Omega, who was capable of withstanding the power of 5 or 6 matrices attacking him simultaneously, and even their combined power together. And keep in mind, him being able to beat an avatar of his creator that was capable of killing another version of him in his true form with the gold power would put him above any avatar across the Transformers omniverse. Megatronus Prime, Nexus Prime, Solus Prime, Mortalus, who is a member of the Guiding Hand and the very concept of death, Megatronus being the very concept of entropy, Vector Prime embodying the concepts of space and time. All these beings are not only abstract entities, but platonic beings themselves. Each one is a platonic concept. Then you also have beings from other verses that also coincide with Transformers. The dragons from D&D are also very powerful. But yet Volcanicus Grimlock here would just simply snap his fingers and be done with it, including with their infinite layered cosmology. But that honestly would end it off here. Volcanicus Grimlock being one of the strongest Transformers in the verse. Oh wait, but we could also scale him above other entities. Yeah, like Sarah, who has the power to grant users the power to rival alternities and stuff like that. Keep in mind, Grimlock just has that naturally. Oh, and I also forgot there's the Cthulhu mythos that would also have to go into the verse as well. That would, dive into the infinite dimensional layers. Also dive into the very concepts of, multiverses being beyond the likes of mathematics. Transformers also has that too. Even having hexes that negate the likes of mathematics. I find that absolutely insane, mind you. Transformers is far more powerful than what we give them credit for. But no one, and I do mean this in every single way, not a single, not a single person quite understands just how powerful Japanese G1 is, with Grimlock being one of the strongest entities in that verse. But that's going to be all for today, guys. Please comment down below, like, subscribe, and share it to friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I hope you guys have a blessed day and enjoyed this little video. Peace.